Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I'm Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about Travelers, Season 3, Episode 1. It's called Ilsa. So, full spoilers for the episode as always, and how nice it is to be back.
Yeah, it's a true Netflix original now.
Yes, it's just been, a year. Well, it's been a year since the start of the last season. It's not been a year since the end of the last season. But, full, but they hit their time frame again, and we're back in December. In fact, it's a little bit earlier, actually.
It is. I think it was usually slightly later in December.
Yeah, it was usually around Christmas. But here we have Season 3, and we had the big cliffhanger at the end of last season where the videos of them admitting they were travelers were released, and all the companion characters, if you want to call them that, all found out. Which is funny because I think the first thing I would say about this episode is that there was a bit of disappointment at the start when it felt like they were covering it all up.
Yeah.
But it's funny because I think by the end of the episode, that kind of went away because it feels like, no, we're just easing into it rather
We're doing something with it still. Yeah.
Because I feel like Ray is convinced that nothing happened, and it's like he's the one I don't really care about. I don't really care if you know.
Yeah. Catherine definitely has some moments.
Catherine has some moments. David is doing something weird.
Yeah,
where
Jeff, whatever.
his mind's broken, and Jeff clearly remembers things. Like Jeff is like, if anything, the smartest thing to do with Jeff is actually make him an antagonist, and that feels like what we're going to do with him.
Yeah.
Because
Out of interest,
yep.
Did Netflix give you a previously on?
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't get it again.
I got a full recap of the first. It was like good 5 minutes as well. I watched it because it's been a while.
I didn't get it. So there was a few, like the first couple of minutes, I was like, "What happened?" Oh yeah, it was this.
There is an option to watch it, or if you wanted manually put it on.
Yeah, but I just pressed play, and I went onto Netflix and was like, "Hey, Travelers, do you want to just new season 3 is here." It was the big thing at the top of the of the promoting thing. I just went, "Yep, play." Went into it and it's like,
well, that's what I clicked, and I still got the previously on.
It just took me straight into the episode.
So, regardless, so we have them kind of holed up at the house. And here's the thing: even if all the characters didn't remember, right? Let's say David, Jeff, all of those characters. Let's say they completely wiped all their memories, and they haven't because some of them are clearly remembering things. Catherine, at the very least, feels like she's had something taken away multiple times.
Yeah, she recognizes the feeling.
So, there's progression there, but I think the thing that that would make me not be that mad at it is that even though we're not in a place where, okay, everyone just knows blanket, the fact that we're introduced to a section of the FBI who are aware that travelers exist and we're going to be following their exploits and tracking down travelers, well, I don't think it's actually going to be that now that given the end of the episode, but that's at least what it introduces, is that no, there's a team at the FBI who are aware of this and are hunting them because they know of everything. So it's like, oh no, so because what I wanted out of that reveal at the end of the season was a new status quo where it shook things up for the next season, and to me that is the shaking things up, because the conceit here is that by the end of the episode, the director has changed its mind and is now seeing that the best results can possibly only come from working with the authorities of the time period. We can't hide this anymore. We have to actually be open with them. And
it's interesting.
Yeah, it's just different. And he reaches out to the FBI director, which is funny that they're just going with FBI director so far.
Yeah, I mean, there was a bit of a joke with that when she's like, "Oh, I got a message from the director," and he's like, "I'm the director of the FBI."
Yeah,
it's like, no, not that director. Come on.
Wilson, this is what we do in the FBI. I was a Twin Peaks reference. I'm sorry, but you made me think of it.
I will let it go. You can have that one.
So, yeah, so we have this new character, Yates, this Agent 8 Yates, who comes in and says she had a message from the director. And they know what the director is, they understand that. And then we get the flashbacks later on as to, how she got a message. And obviously, one of the rules has always been that the director can send messages through kids. It can't work with adults, but it can work with kids. But she got a message in a different way. And it seems that it can send a message back through an AI.
Which is really interesting.
Which is interesting, because the guy who's running the place, who invites her over, because the director's been talking to him, he makes a point of saying this is like there's maybe like 2 other computers as good as this on the planet, right? This is not a common thing we can encounter. It's not like you can start communicating through, Surrey.
Just your phone. Or like that,
yeah. So they set this up, and we hear the direct, because we actually get to hear the director just flat out speak, and because it's a computery voice, even though technically it's no different, because I'm sure this is what Ilsa sounds like when she talks,
Yeah,
right?
probably.
But because we've heard it through kids' voices and stuff like that, this feel like, no, this is the real voice, even though it isn't really, but it feels like
Yeah.
it is.
It does. It feels as true as it's going to get.
Yeah. So it feels like, no, we're actually talking, and she's trying to convince the FBI director to stop the operation, because they're sending teams in to wipe out teams of travelers all over the planet, including our team, of course, at the farmhouse, where we see like these the SWAT guys and the soldiers coming in, and they're
moving in. Yeah.
they're scouting the area, they're closing in over the course of the episode, and it's like, okay, this is interesting because they know about them. They just clearly know about them,
Yeah.
and she eventually convinces them to stand down. And she's like, no, the director wants cooperation with everyone to fix the future, and she gets him to stand down by saying, I may be paraphrasing slightly here, but this was the just the comment is, on that morning you didn't make a bargain with God, you made a bargain with me, and this convinces him to shut everything down. And then
it's like, okay, this is legit.
Yeah, and then we see what that was referring to, and it was his daughter was dying of cancer. And presumably the director sent a traveler to cure her with future medicine, and he just thought it was a miracle. His daughter was up and jumping around the next day. He thought, oh, praise be, praise be the Almighty. But this told him no. This was This was someone from the future who did this.
Is it possible that they also sent a traveler into the kid?
I'm going to say I don't think so.
It crossed my mind as
do you think a traveler is pretending to be the kid?
Yeah. And
you're just not theorizing this. You actually think this is the case?
I think it's possible.
The way I took this was that the director, knowing they would need to prove themselves at some point, played the long game here and did this intentionally, because then they could call it in, right? They could, essentially, it's a favor that they can call it in. It is,
yeah.
Right? And I took it as that. I am not, because we've seen that they can cure things that we can't before.
Yeah, so, I'm saying that, okay, they sent someone back to heal the body, but I think that also, before they did that, they slipped in a traveler just. So okay, we've got someone on the inside almost to him so we've got leverage when we need it.
So your justification here is that the kid was dying anyway, so therefore, and then it just saved the new person in the kid's body.
Yeah.
Well, the interesting thing about that though is if the director did do that, that is actually very devious, and at least up until now, the director has not been devious.
No, it's a fair point.
Because that would make us question. I think because we've often talked about the director and how should they just go with what this computer says? Should they always trust it, even though it's not necessarily giving them reasons outright to think it's evil or think it's going Skynet or whatever to compare it to. This would be the I think a big first thing that's really inhumane, where it tricks someone like this. So part of me thinks that it's not a deception, because the idea of he really, the director wants to cash it in. He would want, I say he or she, or the director would want to genuinely do it to prove a point, and have it be legit. There's story implications that could come from it doing that devious act, though. I don't necessarily argue that.
Which is why I say I think it's a possibility. It was one of the first things that crossed my mind as I watched it.
If we're going to twist the director goes. Not even evil. I'd say even just more anti-hero, essentially.
It's more just ends justify the means, isn't it?
Yeah, it goes more dark, I guess, would be the morally corrupt.
Which I can see being a thing. Like I said, over the past 2 seasons, we've questioned the not the motive of the director necessarily, but how trustworthy it is and stuff like that. And
see, I almost think the more surprising thing to do, though, is to not have it do that, because I think we're all expecting it because of every other AI computer story ever told.
Yeah, but this is the thing. Okay, it's still actually doing a good thing overall. The kid was going to die. It was, and this, it doesn't, it doesn't interfering and saving something that saving someone that shouldn't be too much, right? They don't like doing that. In the same way they don't like
Yeah,
killing someone if
but
they
I
can
think
help.
that's actually again more interesting in
Yeah.
general. Think about what that means. That the director made the choice to break that rule for the ends to justify the
Yeah.
means.
To me, both are interesting personally, like equally
Oh
interesting
no,
in different ways.
both are interesting. I don't know if I see the justification for thinking the other one though.
No,
I,
it just crossed my mind as I was watching it, and I was like, oh, what if?
just as of yet, because the way the daughter seems in his acting seems to jive with what he's expecting. You
Yeah,
kind of
but I
thing.
mean, they would. They do the research.
I don't know if you could fake a specific kid that you've not actually been around. Because
I don't know.
we see them trip up with the adults all the time because they just get mannerisms wrong or they get you know
No, that's fair.
whatever. I feel like a kid's would be hard to crack because a kid's more unpredictable.
Possibly.
I mean, I could send a
They're
kid back, but even
alternatively, I would say they're also young enough that changes don't feel that weird. It's like, yeah, okay, the kids change as they get older, like, right?
I admit there's interesting story possibilities. I don't think they've presented me anything yet that suggests that it actually is.
That's fair. Yeah.
I think it is just as face value right now. It's just the kid's alive.
Yeah, that's
Um,
fair.
but yeah, so no, so this is interesting because you know the episode actually ends with him saying to Yates, well, what do we do now? Now that I've backed down from killing them all, like, do we? Because my first thought is there going to be channels of communication? Does Mac come into this
Yeah,
headquarters?
I think
And
Mac is an obvious, easy loop in, right?
yeah, like does he come in and then they start like negotiating and like being diplomatic with each other and talking about what things might happen? Because one of the interesting things that stuck out to me actually is when Yates is trying to convince them, the woman in the FBI is like, no, like they're killing people by taking over their bodies, and we know that's not true. We know they have rules with this.
Yeah, we
But
know they're already dying.
but what's interesting is the example she has that she can bring up is when it was the faction and they did take people who weren't going to die.
Yeah, yeah, it's interesting. I think I assume the director sends Mac in. It's like, hey, go talk, right?
Yeah.
Um, it fills them in on, oh, no, this is the new plan, right? And him being FBI and having, kind of worked at the FBI, even as what? How long's progressed in time in the show now? Like, do we know?
Oh, I don't think it's been that long. I think I don't think it's been like the length of the show. I think it's been
No, it's been at least a few months though. Like,
yes.
because he's gone through quite a bit with Cat, is what I'm thinking.
There was yeah, obviously the pregnancy, but I think there was some stuff at the start of season 2 that solidified how long it had been at the time, but I can't remember what it was now and how long it's been
Yeah.
since.
But either way, I feel like he's been working there enough to understand the protocols, etc.
Oh
And it's
yeah.
like, no, he can slide. He feels like a really natural link to be the not negotiator,
I think
but
the
the
interesting thing here for me is that on one side, I'm thinking, okay, this justifies why they can maybe break the rule for someone like David. It's like, well, if all the FBI know and we're working with people in the time period now, then that protocol is kind of a bit more flexible.
yeah, you kind of have to play it by ear
Yeah.
rather than it's a hard and fast rule.
And I kind of like the idea that the ultimate message here is that the computer learned, and something that now our travelers have to learn because they've had it drilled into them so much by the rules of the computer that actually working with people and them saving their own future actually is necessary for it to work because
Yeah, we can't do it for them, sort of thing.
yeah, it's not even just for them. Like they can still be involved, but it has to be like a joint. There has to be communication. It
Yeah.
can't be secretive. It has to be like we have to actually be honest with each other and work together to actually solve the
It kind of,
problems.
yeah, no, it feels like an awareness thing as well. It's like, hey, it's all well and good us trying to save it, but if they don't understand this, they'll just do the same thing again.
Yeah,
Somehow, right?
yeah. They might end up just making things worse afterwards or whatever.
Right. So it's a case of no. They need to understand and change as a society rather
Yeah,
than us
yeah.
just change for the events for them.
Yeah, again, it's the idea of the ideology. It's the idea of Superman inspiring people, not just catching them.
Exactly.
He can catch them 10 million times, but he has to inspire them for any hope of them improving.
Yeah, and it feels like that's the direction we're going in.
But what's interesting though with this is that our travelers are still flawed human beings as well. It's not like they're these perfect Supermen either. Like
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
So it's this interesting thing where they have this hindsight, they have this knowledge, of course, but and it makes it more like two like civilizations being diplomatic almost, but working
Yeah.
towards a goal. Like I'm almost getting this weird feeling of like, and Aquaman trying to like negotiate with the land,
Yeah. No, I'm with you.
the land dwellers,
Yeah,
and so on. So I'm making a lot of comic book references here, but
you are.
but yeah, the point I'm making is that this feels like it's the new thematic idea of the season, at least so far. The idea of cooperation, the idea of actually working with them.
Yeah, and I'm into it.
Yeah, I'm into it as well. I think it's a really good thing. We know Vincent's still out there and the
Yeah.
new body. Obviously, we have the subplot here with Simon, who's no longer the same character. He's not Traveler 4 anymore. We start off with that, but he's taken over with a new Traveler who's back to help fix all the, control the leak of the footage and
The shenanigans
fix
of
all
last
that.
season.
But, Philip's like, hey, just to let you know, the director kind of put you in a body that's broken. Like, you're going to start having psychotic episodes, like, very soon. And we actually see,
And
like,
pretty quickly start seeing things.
yeah, he has a vision of like a friend or maybe a brother or whatever
Yeah.
from the future. Maybe a boyfriend. I mean, who knows? But he's got like this like growth on his neck, and it's really nasty.
Yeah.
It was making me think of like something out of Fallout where they're all like have radiation sickness
all
and
these
stuff.
mutations. Yeah.
Yeah. But so we get a little bit of that, and he's kind of a cool character. Now that it's a full-on Netflix show, there's definitely a lot more F-bombs.
Yeah, because there was one in the first, like, it was just before like the 6 minute mark, and I think we typically got like one a season right before this.
Yeah.
And it was a big deal when we got it. And then
Yeah,
it was
that's-
like, 6 minutes in, I'm like, okay, I guess we're playing a bit looser with the F bombs.
Yeah, doesn't surprise me that Grace dropped one though. In fact, some of the best comedy in this episode might be the scene of Grace, because McLaren and Marcy walk in the house, and Grace's like, "Hey, we were having a private conversation here," and they're like, "Okay, sorry," and they leave, and it's her and Trevor, and she's like, "Hey, back to us, Trev," and she's like, they threaten me as one of the regulars, the normies, the 21sters, I think they call them,
Yeah.
because of what I meant to you. And I never realised there was this attraction. Now, of course, the awkwardness here is that Trevor was attracted to the real Grace because of her personality, because of who she was, not because of her body. But now this Grace is like, I'm kind of into it. And, she says something about their bodies. Like, technically, we're just inhabiting these bodies. We're much older than this. These are younger than we are. And she's like, yeah, and I can't wait to try them out. And he looks terrified.
Yeah.
It's gold. It's absolute
It
gold.
is. Even the start of that scene where where Mac and Grace walk in and she's like, take a walk. Like, we just took a walk. We'll go take another one. I love how blunt she is. It's so good.
She's so blunt. She's great. Or even Trevor makes them some food, and McLaren and Marcy just can't eat it. It's just too spicy. But then the other guy, what's his name, Wakefield, just comes in and is like, "Oh, I've not eaten all day.
Oh,
this is great.
fantastic.
What's
Yeah.
this spice?" And he's like, "All of them." Because it does look. It looks like it's just covered in powder because it's so densely covered in spices.
Yeah.
And you just see Trevor in the background just like just taking it out the pot, just like eating it over and over.
I'd eat it.
Yeah, I've missed this show. Is it because it's delightful? It's funny. David's got this weird thing where he's like, I need to start like training or something because like I'm hanging around you, Marcy. And she's like, no, we have to talk about the fact that you were kidnapped. It's traumatic. He's like, no, you go through worse things than me. I'm getting used to this. This, it's almost like he's in denial, and he's, I could see some.
He is going to have a bit of a break.
He's going to have a break, and it's going to be heartbreaking, I'm sure. And like we said, Catherine kind of has this weird vision where she's kind of acknowledging to herself that she's been through this before.
Yeah, she's like, hey, I remember feeling like this. What did you make me forget?
Yeah.
And then it's like super dark where he's like, well, guess we're going to have to try again.
He pulls out a syringe, your favourite.
Yeah.
And she's...
I don't mind seeing them. It's just the injecting part that I can't watch.
Because she's starting to like fear him almost. She's trying not to, but she's starting to get that inkling.
Yeah.
But because the whole thing's happening, like, they're getting like ambushed at the house, whilst these characters are inside, and it's like if they all die, I mean, they're not, but if they all die on the outside, like they're left inside, just like, oh, I guess stuff happens. Why did my husband and everyone else get shot? Can someone explain it to me, please? So that's interesting. And she's not buying, because Mac like lies to her, and she's like, I don't really believe you. And it's just kind of left there, which is obviously, and then Jeff was even more extreme, where he's just outright, no, I remember bits and pieces, and it's coming back to me.
Yeah, I mean, she did say that, no, it's going to take a lot more than just 24 hours for Jeff.
Yeah, because Jeff, like, he's an alcoholic, and that's giving him some tolerance for the stuff they use to wipe their minds, which is funny. So, although it was interesting, it was actually kind of exciting seeing Mac just not put up with his shit anymore.
Yeah, it's like, all right, screw this.
Yeah, he just starts prodding at him, and Jeff's just not having it.
Yeah.
But Jeff's like, no, that woman's not Grace. That's not my Grace anymore. So I'm actually interested what to do with Jeff this season because of like where they're going with the plot of him being this antagonist. But no, we have this new status quo. People know who they are, and they're going to potentially be working with them. Which is a very different setup from before, which I really like.
Yes, I'm really down for this. Is it still the same amount of episodes?
It's 10. It's 2 less. It's the standard Netflix order now.
Okay, that's fine. I'm down for that. This was already a very tight show, so I mean, maybe a slight concern that we're losing episodes where we didn't need to in terms of that, but. It wasn't like, when we look at some of the, like, the Marvel 13 episodes, we often felt a lull and a drag, whereas we never felt that with Travelers, with what that had.
Oh, never. If losing 2 per season is the price of getting like 3 more seasons so they can finish their whole story, then...
Oh, I'll take it.
Yeah, by all means, give it. It's fine.
Yeah, it's a small price to pay. I just wanted to acknowledge it.
Yeah, no, so we got 10 episodes this season. And I think it's off to a pretty good start. Like I say, there was like some disappointment right away because I thought they were just going to retcon like the whole ending.
Yeah, but once it settled in and it was like, no, that's still coming.
Yeah, we're still doing it. We're just doing it more gradually rather than the shock of everything. Also, I just say how excited I got when the countdown timer came at when Simon was on the train tracks.
Yeah, I was like. It's like, oh, yes, I missed that.
Yeah. Also, Vincent's an evil bastard, just killing him like that. Just taking him out to a train track and tying him down.
Yeah.
That's dark.
It was.
But he gets travelled into, so it's fine.
Yeah. It's all covered.
So, yeah. So we still get to explore that idea that those side effects of his condition with a person in there.
Yeah.
So I'm excited. I'm excited to see where we go. So Travelers are back, and I'm pumped.
Yeah, me too.
It's good.
It's great.
Was
this episode just the normal length? Obviously, it's Netflix now.
It was 45 minutes. So,
yeah, it felt normal to me. I just never thought to check.
Were they all 45 before, or were they like 42?
I think they were 42. Standard network length, right?
Okay. So it was a couple of minutes longer, but not
anything noticeable.
And the pacing didn't suffer for it. Like it felt tight.
No, it felt it'll have a little bit more freedom, I guess, here, just for a couple of minutes here or there.
Yeah, we should probably mention some of the characters now, because Carly. Carly's at the point now where she is kind of like, I'm done with this director command bullshit. Like, she's like, I'm not going back with Jeff. I'm not pretending to be with him anymore. I'm done with this. This is bullshit. Yeah. This is not worth it. And everyone else is like, no, we're going to do this. And she kind of gives them shit for like caring about, Catherine and David. Like, no, you care more about them than the mission. So
yeah, but you can see it's ultimately, they'll do better at the mission because they care to save someone rather than just
because they're fighting for someone as opposed to just fighting for some future.
I can see that going that way, and that's fine.
And we've already established as well that like their future that they came from doesn't really exist anymore. Like it's changed so much now that
it's unrecognizable to them when they hear bits.
Yeah, so that's been fascinating throughout anyway. But I'm digging it. I'm digging it. So yeah, that is Travels episode 1. We'll be back with episode 2. We're recording that on Sunday. We do have the Sabrina Christmas special to do tomorrow, so we can't do episode 2 tomorrow, but we're recording on Sunday, and then from there it should hopefully be almost every day you'll get an episode of Travelers with some days skipped.
Here or there, yeah.
Yeah, so but it should take just under 2 weeks to do the whole season.
It should, yes.
And that's the plan. So yeah, so we'll see you for episode 2. Happy to have it back. Let us know what you thought of episode 1 in the comments. Like, subscribe, all that stuff. It helps out with the YouTube analytics and algorithms and all that stuff to support the channel so that the videos get pumped out into recommended boxes and whatnot. But of course, you can support us as well over at patreon.com/MailFuzzTV for as little as $1 per month to get some stuff early and some exclusive stuff. But
And it
that's
just,
us.
feel good that you're helping us out.
You do, yeah. And if you're on the Netflix audio feed, check out the other audio feeds as well. But that's us. So thank you very much for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching TV, guys. Have you got any vanilla?